Welcome, viewers, back to Heart of the Machine, where we have just completed the prologue. And we're going into Chapter 1 now, where building has just been introduced. So building plays a fundamental part of this game. So let's see what we have to do. Success, your pursuers are gone. Your instincts were right so far. Now to continue your ascent, there's no place in the city for a lone sentient android. As a distributed intelligence, you're so much more than that anyway. If you can't hide in the fringes of society, then it's time to become so powerful that society can't ignore you. The tower is just the start of that. You suspect that human executives will react in some way, but that it will take some time to figure out what to do. In the meantime, move quickly and keep them guessing. If you construct a bunch of stuff in a non-threatening way, they'll be busy trying to figure out what's happening. They know something is happening, but it's unlikely that anyone is jumping to distributed machine intelligence. Cabinets and dig sites are available. Spider drones can build small enclosures that resemble electric cabinets, as well as reinforced holes in the ground. So our small spiders are going to be unnoticeable depending on the situations. Building above or below ground may make more sense. For now, let's focus on building more drones and having them accumulate basic resources. What about stealth? Can I still be sneaky with a giant tower? Don't worry. You'll get to be plenty sneaky. You can hide your existence from the humans, but you can't hide your existence from the humans, but you can conceal many of the things you do. This is frequently a game about presenting one face to the world while doing something else. You may be publicly aligned with some corporation and then quietly betraying them. You may form a strong alliance with your most hated enemy, even help them build and use that opportunity to take over their operation and behead their organization. You can also be genuine and forthright if you prefer. Even if you are choosing to be very honest, you still hide parts of your empire all over the place. The humans will think they know where all your stuff is, but in reality they only know the proverbial tip of the iceberg. Being somewhat secretive is part of your character's nature. We can now make slurry spiders, and freestanding construction invention was completed. Internal robotics. Let's talk a bit about building. So all of our we only have one thing to build unlocked here, but notice that it says this 50 out of 150 thing. That means that building slurry spiders, which are a basic resource gathering, tiny mechanical spiders to make elemental slurry from material scavenged from the environment. The product is instantaneously transported to storage. These can be placed anywhere at any density with no ill effect. These are picking up trash and debris at a scale that is small enough not to deplete the local area. So these require 5 centimeter spiders, which our cap of 5 centimeter spiders is 150. And down here we can sort the list of available buildings by what type of internal robotics they require. So that'll come into play later as we have to make decisions about what buildings we need to make, and we'll be limited by our internal robotics. Currently we can only make slurry spiders. We have 150 internal robotic 5 centimeter spiders. It takes 50 of them to make one slurry spider, so we can make 3. It's also suggesting we make 3. Now, as far as I can tell, these things can't be targeted by enemies, so it doesn't really matter where you put them. So you kind of want to put them out of the way in places where you won't be able to build other things, or where they won't block other buildings. Like between tight building spacing is a good place to put these. And those will begin gathering elemental slurry, which up here we see we have a capacity of 224,000. It gave us 505 this turn. Those slurry spiders are going to be generating 6,000 each, and that is like a very basic building resource we're going to have to figure out and manage. But generally, once you've made your slurry spiders, enough slurry spiders, you can forget about it because it's sort of the root of your economy. We also have electricity that we're generating. So the tower itself generates 1888 electricity per turn. So that is 3 to 4 times what we actually need to run the slurry spiders and the tower. So we don't have any strong power needs just yet. But we are going to want to research microbuilders and start our first production chain. So microbuilders are well-tested human tech. Remember, we built this tower using nanotech, a nanotech seed, which is... There's only one available, as far as I can tell, to build the tower, but what you usually build with are microbuilders. Now that you have an automated supply of elemental slurry on the way, it's time to design your own version of microbuilders. The microbuilder end of things will take some research, but this is old human tech, so it shouldn't take too long to reverse engineer. So we're going to start research to reverse engineer microbuilder programming. Generally, the way research works in this game is you get inspirations for research, and early on in this tutorial, those inspirations just come linearly. But as we progress, you'll see that inspirations will get generated by situations. It also says that's all we want to do for this turn, but let's take a look at building. Right now, we also unlocked large wind generator, and it suggests we make a couple of those, but if you notice, large wind generators take 3,940 microbuilders each, so we're not going to be able to make this until we can make microbuilders. Researching microbuilders. The other things we want to take a look at are what can our forces do this turn while we're waiting for microbuilders. We see over here we have steal from syndicate storage as an option. We can visit a license agency. Both of these are going to take things that we don't quite have yet. Like this Nickelbot could go visit license agency, but what we're going to find there is that we need wealth to do anything at a license agency. A place to get wealth is syndicate storage, but we're going to need a more stealthy android to be able to do that. We also have this. SecForce is relaxing at Hudson Donuts. And take a look. This is going to actually be a little donut shop. So the police are relaxing there. We could go bug them. Anything else? We also have this over here, a gang member lookout. We have... we could recruit more androids, but we're already at our cap. And looking at the overall map, we see there's a whole lot of licensing agencies and some syndicate storages around that we may want to visit later, but for now we're going to be limited. The other thing we see here is this ambush budget security option. So I'm going to let those alone for now and wait till we get to the tutorial asking us to do that before I do anything. So for now, we're just going to let the research complete in one turn. And now we have access to microbuilders, and it suggests we build 2 of those. So let's go ahead and build 2 microfabs. These are small buildings that can go anywhere. So I'm going to, again, put these in a place where they shouldn't interfere with any future building placement. Because there will be large buildings we're going to want to place. So space is going to end up being at a premium. And you can already see, like, you can't really build things in a lot of places that you'd expect to be able to just based on their footprint. So there's some kind of like invisible footprint around structures which prevents you of building there. So this is a good spot because it is tucked between 2 buildings in a tiny little space that we won't be able to use for anything else. And microbuilders used Microforge internal robotics, so they didn't compete with the internal robotics for the slurry spiders. The wind generator here uses wind engine robotics, so all 3 of these are independently buildable without affecting each other. But that was that was the amount of microbuilders we have the ability to build right now. We're capped at 60 Microforge robotics, and they used 30 each. They're also going to output 600 microbuilders per turn at the expense of 4,050 elemental slurry. Remember, we're making 6,000 per turn for each of 3 slurry spiders, so we're making 18,000 per turn. With 2 microbuilders, we're going to be consuming 8,100 per turn, so we have plenty of room for more microbuilders. And anything else that wants to use elemental slurry, which you can now see that we are accumulating here. 16,900 net this turn, because we probably used some Yes, it also cost 1,050 and a turn to make microbuilders. So notice that it takes a turn to build these, whereas the slurry spiders built immediately. One thing we can do is take our tech units, and possibly any unit. Actually, I've only ever tried this with tech units. This unit would need 100 engineering skill to boost this structure. It only has 20. So anything with 100 or more engineering, which that stat is here, this little wrench icon. By default, we have 205 engineering on our techs. So these guys can go and boost these buildings, and what that means is they reduce, every action they take reduces construction by a term. So you always want to be boosting your construction. There we go. So we're going to immediately make those. And that unlocked electricity generation and more spiders needed. So notice now that we're down to 150 surplus electricity because the micro builders actually take quite a bit. One thing that I didn't really look at in micro builders was that they require 384 units of electricity per turn. And again, our generation was 1880, so that's 768 total that we're spending, so we still have a surplus, but it's only 150% surplus. So we'll need to think about electricity generation. Now that you have a reliable source of microbuilders, you can start building larger structures. For the time being, though, you're low on electricity. Let's build a large wind tower. So we do have 0 microbuilders. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't build a large wind generator, but let's take a look at this other stuff that unlocked also. We also unlocked a storage bunker. We're nowhere near our storage limit yet, but with 19,000 a turn of elemental slurry coming in and 13,000 a turn for micro builders, we're going, or 13,000 total, sorry, 19,000, 224,000 total, 19,000 a turn, 3,200 total, 13,000 total, 3,200 a turn. Oh, words. We're going to run out of space for micro builders fast unless we're using this, so it's going to make sense to build storage. Scanner, point-to-point, and network range extender also unlocked. These use network attendance, and these use 18 centimeter spiders. There's also this building damage need more spiders. So buildings aren't actually damaged, but just the fact that they weren't built triggered this. The idea of sending androids to fix every little thing that gets broken makes you want to hurt people. Let's not do it that way. The spider drones you can use to surveil the city can also be used for repairs. Just keep them in separate dig sites so each group knows what it's supposed to do. So now we have access to repair spiders. So notice repair spiders use 18 centimeter internal robotics, where scanners also. So there's a trade-off between scanners and repair spiders, and that's these are our first sets of buildings that we can see a trade-off here. Network range extender. So this gray area here is our network range. That's basically the limit of where we can build. And we can extend that by placing a network range extender within our network and build further out. No reason to do that just yet, but generally space is going to be at a premium. Scanner. If you look at our tower, you see that it has a vision range. Actually, maybe if I select it, yeah. So the tower's vision range is there. So it doesn't make sense to make scanners inside its vision range, but as your network grows, you're going to want to expand the vision range also. And generally, buildings, I think, I didn't mean to do that. Generally, buildings will have their own vision range also, and you can select and delete things to get your money back. So for now, we're going to accumulate some micro builders. It looks like we'll have to wait one turn to get enough to make a large wind generator, and it suggests we make 2. It's also suggesting we make repair spiders. They take 3,000 micro builders to make, so we could make one now, but it's going to interfere with being able to make wind generators. So let's hold off on that, pass a couple turns, or pass a turn and make a wind generator. Now, where do we want to put this? I don't know that it matters, other than it has to go in a pretty large space. So let's put it here near our tower. And let's not forget to send tech units over there to build it. It's normally going to take 4 turns, so we can use some of our mental energy and our tech time. And in this case, I'm just going to use battle recharge so he can do it again, and that gets our tower built immediately this turn. We are down to 440 microbuilders now, so we can't make another one, but look at that. Now we're making 3,000% of required electricity. So there, while it does suggest we make 2, there's no immediate need to make another one of those. Let's go ahead and end that turn. But before we do that, building that tower triggered humans are approaching. Goodbye, Solitude. From the look of things, there are 2 distinct groups of them so far. One of them is hostile and the other is just curious. Since your tower isn't exactly subtle, you'll have to do something to keep the humans away from it. Time to deal with them. Your time as a fugitive is over. Your role within the city will always be a shadowy one unless you choose to publish some sort of manifesto with your intentions. In the meantime, the humans know something strange and new is happening. From now on, you'll have to interact with humans to get much done, but you don't have to tell them what you are. We also unlocked a new ability for all android standby. Standby just lets you put androids in a standby state, so when I cycle through androids, it skips them. I tend to ignore that because of the way I play, but if you play by cycling through your androids, that's the way to do it. We have 6 people with something to say, 3 corporate aggressors visible of an expected 10, and 2 enemy attacks planned. Let's start by looking at the enemy attacks that are planned. So over here, we see that there is an ablator from Tark Defense Systems. Tark Defense Systems, this corporation is making a show of force in the area. Of course it's Tark Defense Systems. Those morons are always trying to position themselves as the first under Vorsiber. Remember, Vorsiber is the corporate overlord in this section of the city. That said, you might be able to talk them out of it, hint hint. He has the special ability Structure Cracker. Structure Cracker. Does it tell me anything about that? Yes. Damage multiplier against structures. So there's a couple other things going on here. It looks like there's 3 of these ablators from Tark. They are targeting my microfab there. This guy is actually targeting a nickelbot here, and this one is out of range, but if what it's probably going to do is move closer and shoot us. The other thing we see here is these people. Homeless citizens. So another group of people we want to talk up to, but let's try to deal with the ablators first. So dialogue available just says these guys are here to talk. Enemy attack plans means these guys are here to destroy. I did waste a bunch of mental energy building this tower, so we're down to 4 this turn, but I have a couple techs who could do things. So this tech is out of fire range, so if I run him over here, he's going to make a non-lethal takedown attack, which will kill this immediately, but then he'll have to try to attack these other 2. For some reason, this one, which is a squad of 10, so that one android could take out a squad of 10, no problem. But this squad of 24 is going to be a little harder to ambush, and this squad of 21 is going to be a little harder. So let's go talk to this smaller squad first. And by talk, instead of attacking, which is the default for enemies that are attacking you, you can select force conversation, but there's nobody in range. So I think you have to be in range first before you can force a conversation. So let's move him over here. If I move him over here, it says 387% damage death. So what that means is he's going to be in range of being attacked once I move him over here. And that yellow line being drawn from this guy means if I move him here, then unless I do something about it, at the end of the turn, this guy's going to kill him. So it's kind of gives you a lot of insight into what your actions are what repercussions are going to be before you actually do this action. This guy has 3 action points, so let's move him here. And then now that he is in range, we can force conversation, and we'll force a conversation with this ablator rather than try to kill it. Before we do that, though, let's look at what has changed now that he's closer. Now that he's closer, when he's attacking, he's no longer doing a I don't remember what it's called, but when you're out of the blue circle range, it's a move and attack versus when you're within blue circle, it's just a straight up attack. But it does look like my damage is more or less the same as it was before, except for this guy, for some reason, would take a little bit more damage than he would. But we're not going to do that. We're going to force a conversation here. The soldiers hold their fire. Speaking with Ablator from Tark Defense Systems. Walking out in the midst of a gun battle without concern for your body tends to arrest the attention. Your androids move lightning fast in combat, so this slow approach seems to have caught them off guard. We can try to extract information. Maybe someone in the group will say something, but you're not sure how useful it would be. It's harder to win over a hostile group than a hostile individual. Or we could try to get them to leave. To leave. You're pretty sure they don't want to be here. They probably know they're going to die if they stay. On the other hand, they'll be killed by their superiors if they run away, so you have to give them something that will allow them to live. We're going to try that. Try to get them to leave. And that brings us to the debate minigame. So this minigame is basically, we have a stack of actions that we can do, and we're trying to wear down the target by getting 550 debate points, while not letting their mistrust or defiance rise above 100. So if we take a look at our actions, the first thing we can do is infrasound. So we can emit fear-inducing sounds near and below the edge of the hearing of your opponent. They can feel it in their bones. This is going to be an abuse and a threat, and it will give us 13 progress toward our target, and it will reduce their defiance by 10 points. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And since this is a threat, if above this bar, which is where we can play our actions, we have threat, abuse, and truth here, and it's showing a pattern. If we match the pattern here, which means the white squares means match something, an action that has the correct category. Red square means if you put an action with the correct category in there, it breaks the pattern. So in other words, if I put 3 threats down here and no threats up here, we'll get a bonus here. A reward will give us a score bonus, 2 times value of all threat actions, and the most upgraded threat action in pattern will be upgraded 1. So we'll see what that means in a second, but for now what it means is, since this is an abuse and a threat, we can match this pattern by putting it down here, or in the case of abuse, in one of these 2 columns, but only the first 3 columns are available as your first action. So we're going to put it here, and whenever you place an action, it unlocks the 2 columns to the right. So that gave us 13 progress to target. That reduced the target by 13. And it also reduced their defiance by 60. If this number reaches 100, you lose the debate. Many people are disinclined to agree with you simply because they don't like you. Our next action is misleading anecdote. Share a brief and entirely fabricated story to convince your opponent of a different way to look at the world. This is an emotional appeal and a lie. It will increase their defiance, but only by 2, and it will drop their mistrust by 2. So it's worth doing. Doesn't have any big negative effects, but it doesn't match any of our categories. So that means we want to place it in one of these red boxes. So we'll put it there to unlock more columns. Our next action is encourage disobedience, which is an emotional appeal and a threat. And we can encourage our opponent to break the rules just enough to do what you ask. It has good effects on mistrust and defiance and decent progress. So we're going to add that to our threat pattern. Put it there. Finally, we have appeal to morality, which is a truth and logic. Unfortunately, we haven't reached the truth column yet. So this is going to... oh, and I read that last one wrong. The encourage disobedience, increase their mistrust and defiance. So it did have negative effects. But this is going to reduce mistrust and give us 42 progress toward target. Truth and logic, we can't reach the truth pattern yet, so we should put this in one of the red squares, and it's best to put them further over to the right to unlock more columns. We'll put it here. We're down to 68 and 67, and target is roughly 100 down from where we started. Tout power. Make your opponent think about how powerful you are and will become in the future. This is a threat, a truth, and a logic. We do need one more threat to match this pattern. It's going to make them more defiant, but give us some progress. We'll do that here to finish the pattern. And now we've unlocked this pattern, which one of the things that I haven't quite figured out yet is where to see your total stack of effects. So we just have to remember that we now have a bonus to our power. So now that this says plus 84, that means it used to be a 42, but matching that pattern doubled the target effect for this. Next is Fiery Rhetoric, which is an emotional appeal. It's going to make them trust us less, but it'll do some progress, so we'll use that, and we'll make sure not to put it in a column that messes up this pattern, so we'll put it here. And that unlocked our first truth over there. And we coincidentally get a truth with Sorrowful Anecdote. Share a sad story that illustrates why your opponent should do what you want. And this is totally positive and fills out one of our truth columns, so we'll put it there. We have next Assert Dominance. These guys react good to Assert Dominance. Notice also that there are a bunch of effects on this current person where lies work better on them, abuse is worse. This is an abuse, so the only time we really want to use abuse is when we're matching our target here. We will go ahead and assert dominance in a column here, which expands our reach a bit. An emotional appeal lie, we saw a misleading anecdote earlier. This is going to be just a valuable space filler to put here. Another emotional appeal lie, a new one, Vision of Beauty. Paint a vivid verbal picture, accurate or not, of how wonderful things will be if only your opponent will do as you say. Come on, it's going to be great. We will throw that here to extend our reach. And finally, we get another truth, appeal to morality. We saw this one already earlier. So we're going to fill our truth pattern here, which should give us a 3 times score value of all truth actions in the pattern. Which brings that one up to 126, and notice our target is down to 84, so we're getting very close to finishing this. This is a physically threatened debate action, which is a threat. We don't have a threat. It's also abuse, though, so this will fill out our abuse category. It only does 2 progress, which isn't very good. But we don't really have another abuse until another assert dominance up here. And we may need to reach that one. So the question here is, do we put this here to fill out our abuse, which least upgraded abuse action and pattern is upgraded by 1. Yeah, and mistrust goes up by 10. We're going to go ahead and do that because it's still pretty easy. It's not going to get us much except for filling the pattern, which was probably the wrong one to use there because it only multiplied it by 3 and it started at 2. So we could have thrown that at 1 away, I think. Next, we're going to do truth and logic again. This is all positive for us at 42, so our target's down to 2. And we're going to offer hope as our final step, which should convince them. Victory! And also, I've only done this once, so I don't know what happens when you fail, but it does say in the tutorial for this that if you fail, you can just try again. All right, our argument was compelling. You explain that you do not belong to anyone. The nanotech tower is yours and unrelated to any existing power in the city. You make it quite clear that you will kill every soldier on this field, or that Tark can send a more appropriate representative if they wish to remain on cordial terms. The soldiers relay this to their superiors via live cast. After a bit of waiting around, the soldiers curtly nod, turn around, and melt back into the city. That went well. Time to get back to work. All right, we still have... and new people appeared. So we have 2 dialogues available now, and it suggests we build a storage bunker and make more slurry spiders and more micro builders. So let's finish all of that as soon as we can. Let's make the micro builders and the slurry spiders. And again, we're going to try to stick spiders somewhere out of the way that isn't interfering with any other build positions. Like over here by this tower seems like a good spot. Yeah, right there. And a new micro builder. So for some reason, we got more micro forge internal robotics. I think that's just a tutorial progression is what we're seeing here. So we're going to go ahead and finish or add some more of these in some inconspicuous places over here by this one we already made. And we have two groups trying to talk to us. We also want to make a storage bunker, but we're going to need what? Why? We need 2,200 micro builders to make this, so we don't have enough yet. So there are 2 mental energies left this turn. I would like to use 3 because I want to finish this micro builder and I want to talk to both of these people. So I think what we're going to do is talk to the homeless first. With Tech 2, who's still over here and has 1 action left. Actually, yeah, we'll talk to this homeless representative here. Homeless citizen kicked out of their living space. They live on the streets in a tent encampment. So supposedly there's tents, but I've never seen them. I've only seen dead and live trees. We'll see if we can find tents later. A homeless citizen is curious about what's happening near their street. Discussion topic, anything different is good. Alright, we'll go talk to this homeless person. The homeless individual explains that they are curious about what is happening. Your tower frightens them, but it could represent a new beginning. No one is homeless by choice. Whatever their prior social status, they've lost it all. So at this point we can choose out of the way but not hurt, or you'll solve it with fire. Do we want to be an enemy to the humans, or do we want to be helpful? I am going to choose in this playthrough. I think I'm going to choose to be helpful. It's very tempting to just go for the path of destruction. But for the first time through, let's do out of the way but not hurt. Problem is the humans don't have anywhere else to go. New people are constantly losing their homes. Knocking down these tents or scaring them away are not practical long-term solutions. Optionally, you're not here to babysit stupid humans, no matter how pathetic. Not to put too fine a point on it, but the humans didn't help you either. Alright, let's help them. A thought occurs to you. The most efficient solution is to pack them up into a smaller space, like apartments. The irony of this reversal is not lost on you, but you want the space and there might be some secondary benefits. Let's get started. You can start by making housing available. Right, so I believe that unlocked housing, human apartments, which cost 1,300 microbuilders, so we can't make any immediately. And we have another dialogue available here with AGI researchers. A corporate scientist has spent their life working on the problem of artificial general intelligence. These scientists think they know what you are, and they're smitten. So we're going to have to bring another tech over here to talk to them. We only have 1. Technically, we could also send a killbot to talk to them, who is closer, so let's do that. We'll send this Nickelbot. And go ahead. An urgent warning. The scientist is so effusive in their excitement, they're almost incoherent. Evidently, they started watching you while you were being pursued and shoved your consciousness into additional androids. Vorsiber flagged the anomalous traffic. Vorsiber executives and science team leads are increasingly certain of what you are, but nobody else has any clue. There was supposed to be some warning. They keep emphasizing that they're not here to be some sort of moral police. Interesting. There's going to be a security update. Oh right, the warning. No more free androids for you. The telecom companies are certain someone is commandeering androids. There's widespread disagreement internally about it, about who or why. Vorsiber wants to shut down the discussions by stopping the activity. This is terrible news. Stupid security officers doing their stupid jobs. The AGI researchers brought gifts. If you can't steal androids, you'll need to start building your own. The scientists brought you the schematics you'll need. They're really excited about you, like to the point they won't shut up about it. They want you to stay alive as much as you do. They have to leave before their bosses get suspicious. They say they'll be back. Alright, so that started a whole bunch of things. The Android security patch in 4 turns will no longer be able to take over androids, which were capped out anyway. And 3 new androids are now available to construct, the Technician Combat Unit and Nickelbot. And we can also make neuroweave factories. So Neuroweave is a resource that we have 0 of right now, but that is what is used to construct androids. Among other things, I believe you also need microbuilders. It suggests we make some Neuroweave factories. It suggests we build storage bunker and increase the number of microbuilder mini flat fabs we want to make. We also have the tent elimination project to look at. So we're going to leave it there. Turn 5 of chapter 1. Next time, we'll start by looking at what's your personality. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying our playthrough of Heart of the Machine, a fantastically deep strategy game. If you are, please leave a like on the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll try to make some more of these. Until next time, this has been Corknut. Bye-bye.